General Radahn is cursed ever to wander.
Alright, welcome. Let's have a look at what Radahn's packing. Radahn's melee weapon is a pair of colossal swords called Starscourge Radahn. This is a paired weapon, which means that if we power stance it, we get a copy of the sword in our left hand and we dual wield two weapons instead of one. The swords also boast a gravity-making skill called Starscourge Radahn, which first pulls in the enemies and then slams down on them. On the other hand, we have Lion's Great Bow, which has a skill called Radahn's Rain. As the name says, it rains down arrows on your enemies, but if there are no enemies present, you'll just rain down arrows on yourself. You do look cool firing that arrow though, so it's not a complete loss. As you can see, my Great Bow is only +5. I have neglected to upgrade it, but we'll see how it goes. Alright, after we have equipped our weapons and fixed our stats with talismans, we can start our journey. We will make our way into Radahn's castle located in Kaelid. There's a handy shortcut in Limgrave that we can use. And we get kidnapped. Excellent. We wake up in a cave in Kaelid, much closer to our destination. From here on, it's just a matter of getting out of the cave, which also presents us with an opportunity to test out Radahn's weaponry. Now I won't lie and say it went swimmingly, but we find our way out of the cave. Once we're out of the cave, we find ourselves in a swamp. Lovely. Fortunately from here it's just a short horse ride to Radahn's castle. On the way I found some big doggies and I decided to poke them a bit. I don't know what I expected to happen, but it certainly didn't go according to the plan. Whoops! I'll never financially recover from this, or emotionally. I finally make it to Redmane castle, where supposedly Radahn is waiting for me. But of course there's a catch. Redmane castle exists in two different states depending on your progress in the game. The two states can be described as empty or populated. The castle is populated like this at the beginning of the game. Once you progress further into the game, the castle changes and most of the NPCs disappear. And only then will you be able to challenge Radahn. Now this is something that I did not know before this playthrough. Previously I always got to the castle later in the game, and thus missed this whole state. There's even this cool troll to fight here. I wish I had that flaming sword. But I can't complain too much as dual wielding Starscourge greatswords works very well here. Cool guys, don't look at troll explosions. I sneak around the back of the castle and we are in. I get the opportunity to test out the Lion Great Bow here. Unfortunately it doesn't outright kill the guy, but on the bright side he now has an arrow sticking out of his head. Funny guy. Testing out Radahn's Rain here also yields unsatisfactory results, but in hindsight it could also be attributed to me not upgrading the bow sufficiently. And finally we reached this boss wall. Now this caught me off guard as I expected to find the castle in the festival state. During the festival all we can find here are friend NPCs. Now we are faced with Misbegotten warrior, who does not actually pose much of a threat. But if we got him halfway through his health bar, a Crucible knight joins the fight. This fight is best enjoyed by killing the Misbegotten warrior quickly, so it does not become a gunfight. Utilizing Radahn's swords, I managed to bring the Crucible Knight down to half health, which activates his winged state. The great swords work great here, and the fight is almost over. Then of course I make a mistake and I get caught. On my second try I barely managed to kill the Misbegotten warrior before Crucible Knight makes it to me. I managed to bring the Crucible Knight down low again. As I chuck down my last health potion I get hit and hit again. I do manage to dodge some of the final attacks, get hit again, and now we're both down to just one hit, and I do what everybody will do, run away. And I just barely managed to hit him with my bow. What a great bow. This was a fairly easy fight and I got them on my second try. Unfortunately, this is also where I discovered it was all for naught. As mentioned before, the castle has 2 states, and obviously I am in the wrong one. I'll let this old coacher explain it.
Festival honoring the last battle and death of General Radahn, the mightiest demigod of the Shattering and bearer of a great rune.
Oh boy, I love a good festival.
Well, good. As you should. The festival affords glory to warriors. Then all you need is a little patience. When the stars align, the festival will be declared.
So how do we make the stars align? There are 2 ways to progress the state of the Redmane castle. We either need to activate any site of grace in Altus Plateau, or progress in Ranni's questline. Now ultimately we need to do both, but in this case I choose to go to Altus Plateau first, since it's also linked to the next remembrance boss, as you'll see later. Now this is a journey of friendly neighbors, beautiful plants in a picturesque valley, ladders, poison traps, cave people massacre, and don't forget about the ladders. Eventually we make it to this hot guy. Thankfully he's a big guy, so we got a strategy here. We just whack at his legs for a good minute at least. And down he goes. Now all that is left is to take the elevator up. Now all that is left is to take the elevator up. And we're in Altus Plateau. We can activate the grace here. And back to Redmane castle. Fortunately this time the castle is in the festival state, as evidenced by the many friendly NPCs around here. And we also get the speech. At last we are ready to tackle Radahn. Normally you will want to use the NPC summoning sign located around the area. There are 7 of them and each of them summons a different NPC. But we can't do that, can we? The fight with Radahn starts off quite far away from him, and we have to successfully dodge his arrows while we're running up to him. At this point I also start trying to shoot back at him. But unfortunately I'm not quite as strong as Radahn, and the arrow just won't make it there. Same story from this distance. And finally, when we are in Radahn's melee range, we can hit him. The damage is not great, but again, in hindsight, I should have upgraded the bow. When I make it to melee range, I try Starscourge Greatswords, but it seems like I'm just not the match for Radahn yet. During the second attempt, I try the bow once again, and miss once again. And I don't even make it to melee range this time. When I do make it to melee range on the next attempt, I still die very early. The fourth attempt is the first one where I seem to put any considerable amount of damage on him. On my fifth attempt, I even managed to get him below 50% health, which should be enough to trigger his second phase. Unfortunately, he manages to kill me off before he triggers the second phase animation. Getting him to 50% health tells me that I can beat him this way. And on the next attempt, I do manage to trigger his second phase. The second phase trigger is pretty cool. He jumps into the air and becomes a meteorite. From here on out, he uses more gravity magic alongside his attacks, which does end up costing me a few attempts. By now I have unlocked the secret ability of attacking his balls. Even his gravity magic can save him from this fate. Got them. So this took me 10 tries and was a fairly easy fight. I do regret that I didn't use the bow more, as it was actually quite fun to use. In hindsight, I should have just upgraded it to +8 or maybe even +10, and it would have been a blast to use. Radahn's death is also important to us because it grants us access to an important area later on. Naturally, there's another remembrance boss in there. Next up we will tackle Rykard, the Lord of Volcano Manor, in the next video.